At 30,000 feet, the sky is silent, but inside the cockpit, every sound is survival. Fuel isn't the only thing running low. The pilot's pulse is climbing, his stomach's empty, his focus razor thin. There's no lunch break at Mach 0.8, no cafeteria in the clouds. Just a man, a machine, and 12 relentless hours of combat readiness. Each heartbeat counts. Each calorie burned is one more moment closer to failure. This is how F-16 pilots eat, drink, and survive when the mission doesn't stop, when they can't stop. 0320 hours. The desert horizon glows faintly as the 77th Fighter Squadron lifts off from Al-Udeid Air Base. Two F-16 Fighting Falcons roar into the night, bound for Syrian airspace, Sector 3A. Their orders: 12 continuous hours of strike support, no landing, no pause. From the start, every detail is measured: fuel levels, formation distance, oxygen flow. The pilots know their limits better than anyone, both mechanical and human. At Mach 0.8, every heartbeat must align with the mission clock. 8 hours in, the first refueling window approaches. The KC-135 Stratotanker looms ahead, steady at 25,000 feet. The jet slides beneath it like a shadow, 20 feet of air between disaster and precision. But for the pilot, the challenge isn't just fuel, it's endurance. His flight suit traps heat, his helmet compresses every breath, and hunger gnaws under 9 times the force of gravity. Inside the cockpit, sweat trickles behind the oxygen mask. His body screams for calories, but the mission demands silence. Out there, in this thin layer of sky between life and chaos, the smallest distraction can cost everything. He grips the throttle tighter, eyes locked on the horizon. The engines hum. The world narrows to one truth: survive long enough to finish the job. How do you eat when your hands never leave the stick? For 12 hours. The KC-135 tanker drifts ahead, steady as a floating fortress. The F-16C Block 50 slides into position, 20 feet below the refueling boom. The pilot's world compresses to one trembling window of focus. A fraction of an inch too far, and metal meets metal. "Contact!" the boom operator calls out through the radio. The hose locks, fuel surging through the line like a lifeline. The jet drinks, but so does the man. As the tank fills, the pilot fights another emptiness: hunger, fatigue. With one hand on the throttle, he reaches down with the other, grabbing a slender plastic tube from his vest. Inside, a dense puree of beef and noodles, an MRE paste, the Air Force's airborne equivalent of a lunchbox. He slots the straw through the oxygen mask adapter and squeezes. Cold calories rush in, half a meal, zero comfort, but pure survival. Outside, clouds churn over northern Iraq. Turbulence rattles the jet, shaking the boom connection. The pilot holds steady, muscles trembling, heartbeats sync to the tanker's rhythm. In the cockpit, it's a feeding dance. Man and machine both refueling mid-flight, both fighting gravity, time, and exhaustion. Because at 25,000 feet, the difference between precision and collapse is a sip, a squeeze, a second's control. But what happens when turbulence hits mid-bite? Pre-flight 0200Z. In the dim glow of the briefing room at Al Dhafra, pilots run through flight plans, while nutrition officers pack their secret weapons. Not missiles, not bombs, but food. Specialized, engineered, high-G fuel for the human machine. Every F-16 pilot carries what's known unofficially as the combat lunchbox, a survival kit of compact rations built to withstand heat, vibration, and pressure swings from -30 to 40 degrees Celsius. Inside, nutrient gels, caffeine chews, and energy bars sealed in silver foil. Each pocket of the G-suit is a different reserve tank. Before takeoff, ground crew hooks hydration tubes into the pilot's vest, running them through a one-way valve connected to the oxygen mask. It's a seamless system. No hands needed, no spills, no chance to break focus mid-turn. Custom electrolyte mixes are preloaded by medtechs, tuned to each pilot's sweat rate and mission length. Up in the air, these systems matter more than comfort. They prevent cognitive slip, blackouts, and judgment errors at Mach speed. Without them, fatigue spreads fast, narrowing reaction time from seconds to milliseconds. The Air Force calls it performance nutrition. Pilots call it the difference between staying sharp or fading out. Because up here, there's no coffee break, only fuel in liquid, metal, and human form. But even with high-tech rations, what happens when adrenaline overrides appetite? 9:25 hours. Radar warning tones pierce the cockpit, sharp, rhythmic, unmistakable. A possible hostile unmanned aerial vehicle crossing into the patrol zone from the east. The pilot's eyes snap open. Fatigue dissolves into raw instinct. Adrenaline floods his bloodstream, masking the hollow ache that's been building for 4 hours without food. He hasn't eaten since before dawn. Blood sugar low, heart pounding at 130 beats per minute. Every muscle trembles as he toggles the F-16's radar modes, TWS, then STT, locking onto a faint signature 12 miles out. At this point, even hunger can distort judgment. Low glucose blurs peripheral vision, slows cognitive response. But training takes over where biology falters. From above, the E3 Sentry AWACS feeds him vector data, voice steady and calm. Reaper 1, contact confirmed, altitude 270. He aligns his nose cone, thumb hovering near the weapon switch. AIM 9X Sidewinder armed. The closure rate 550 knots, seconds ticking. The UAV drifts closer to range. He breathes through the mask, short focus bursts. Hunger's gone now, replaced by tunnel vision. His stomach growls beneath the roar of the jet, a sound swallowed by thunder and speed. Out here, there's no room for weakness. Food becomes fuel. Focus becomes survival. And one man, one machine, rides the knife's edge between them both. Will his body hold out before the target reaches range? 1310Z. Engines cool. The F-16 glides onto the runway at Al Udeid Air Base, its skin shimmering with desert heat. The mission is over, but the analysis is just beginning. Ground crew rushes forward, guiding the jet to a halt. The canopy lifts, and the pilot finally exhales the breath he's held for hours. Inside the operations center, the 77th Fighter Squadron nutrition and medical teams are already waiting. Hydration logs, biometric data, and cockpit telemetry flow onto monitors. They don't just study flight performance, they study human endurance. Every calorie consumed, every heartbeat under G-load becomes data for future missions. The Air Force treats the pilot's body like another weapon system, maintained, tested, optimized. In debrief, they review not only the engagement, but the human cost behind precision, the skipped meal, the trembling hand, the willpower that outlasted fatigue. In this ecosystem of steel and skin, every pilot is a system of systems, muscle, mind, and machinery intertwined. Resilience isn't comfort, it's focus at the edge of collapse. Because at 30,000 feet, survival depends not just on engines or missiles, but on the quiet, unseen strength inside the cockpit. So what fuels the fighter when the mission never ends?
For every strike mission, there's a hidden war no radar can see. One fought against hunger, heat, and exhaustion. Modern air combat isn't just measured in thrust and speed, but in endurance and will. The F-16's heart may be a jet engine, but its soul is human. Every bite, every sip, every heartbeat at altitude keeps that machine alive long enough to come home. Subscribe for more deep dive stories into the unseen realities of modern combat aviation, where every mission tests not just the aircraft, but the pilot behind it. Precision, pressure, persistence. The human system never sleeps.